Good morning. You are listening to The Inevitable Radio Show. Now, the show today is going to be formulated on what I call the 9 verbs. I'm going to cover as many of these verbs today because these 9 verbs, and verb for you English majors out there, are really the words in our English language that control the action of the sentence, which means if you use these sentences in how you control or do not control your life, these words contain all the programming power to become who you are today, or to struggle to be who you are today, or for the 90% again, who are more focused on who they don't want to be and what they don't want and what they're tired of in life. These 9 verbs are the foundation that create what happens to you. So if you're not driving, write these 9 verbs down. See, hear, feel, know. Those are the first 4. See, hear, feel, know. 5th verb, think, believe, focus on. The 8th verb is what you physically put into your body, and we're going to talk a lot about that. That's a very critical concept. And as a result of these 8 verbs, you will take action. You will do something, you will not do something, you will avoid something, you will embrace something, you will study something, you will back off in fear from something, you will do nothing, you will change course. You will do something based on these first 8 verbs. See, hear, feel, know, think, believe, focus on, and put in your body. So let's go to the first verb, see. What do you see? Now, what most people see in their lives are the unconscious programs that either A, they were taught that this is how their parents see. An occasional minority will be total rebels, and so they're the antithesis of what they were taught to see. Or as significant events have influenced them, an incredible coach, an incredible teacher, or an incredibly painful bad boss or spouse or a terrible traumatic moment in your life, you change how you see things. And the other thing to recognize as we look at these 9 verbs, generally people are going to be on one side of the equation or the other. And so the common way that we think of this, and I know you've all heard of this, whether the glass is half full or half empty, or whether you're a pessimist or an optimist, whether you see what can be done or you're daunted by what cannot be done. These 9 verbs, you'll line up that way. So you're going to see challenge, or you're going to see opportunity. You're going to see what's not working, or you're going to see what can work. You're going to see the problem, or you're going to see the solution. But generally, and think about this, and I want you to feel this moment, most people wrestle with, if they're a pessimist, they're like, who wants to be a pessimist? Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, hey, I think I want a really crappy outlook on my life today. Nobody wants that, but they don't know how to do it differently, because what they've been taught is, hey, if you're not prepared for the worst, well, then you're going to get screwed. You got to prepare because life is going to crap on you. So you need to be prepared. And so they grow up thinking, man, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. Even when it's good, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall. And when it's a mass hysterical moment, it is so easy to engage, even if on an okay day, you can be an optimist, but on a bad day, on a tough day, on a challenge day, what we all do psychologically is punt. We drop back and go back to an older, more primitive psychological pattern because we have more faith and trust in something that used to work for us. And so in a panic or in a press or in anxiety or in a fear-based moment, people will drop back to older. So maybe you can be an optimist when the weather's fair and nice and life is good. It's the late 90s, the market's going up, life is great, businesses are hiring. If you can fog a mirror, you get a job and you can succeed. But the minute the storm clouds form and those seas kick up and the sun goes away and the blue sky is gone and it's black and forbidding, and you go, oh crap, I'm not a very good sailor, then you will revert to these older, more primitive psychological patterns. But again, and you've heard me say this a number of times, there's a reason why in 1930, more millionaires per capita were created in this country than has ever been in the history, because in the midst of the worst doom and disaster and pain, that is also by law. This is a law of nature. This is a law of physics. This is a law of energy. By law, it balances. So if you have the greatest disaster in your life, you also have the greatest opportunity. You just have to have the strategy and the know-how and the desire and the certainty that you can find it. Doesn't mean it's easy. Doesn't mean it always happens perfectly, but the people that fall into these patterns generally create more of what they want, more of life as they want it. And it's a strategy. It's not a given. These people are not more lucky than you. They're not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They use different strategies. And so when we look at the verb see, what they see, and think about this, the 10% that have everything, all the love, all the joy, all the happiness, all the money, all the everything that they want, they see the world differently. And there are neurosciences that back this up. There is a program in your mind called the reticular activation system. And the RAS is most noticeable when you buy a new car. What do you see everywhere the next day? Yeah, that's right, that car. There it is. Oh, there it is again. There it is in my color. That's the same color. Your brain notices what you program it to notice. So if you have a fundamental underlying program that's focused on what's the solution, what's the opportunity, what's right with this moment, what's right with me, can I see what's right with me? Think about how many of your friends, and maybe you do this a lot too, one of the most habitual question people ask themselves is, what's wrong with me? Gosh, what's wrong with me? Why don't I get this? Why does these disasters always fall on top of me? Why can't I ever get ahead?
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. Please visit our website for more information on this extraordinary coaching system at www.theinevitableyou.com. Then, sign up for your 2-week free trial of our membership to gain access to hundreds of hours of amazing content and tools just like this. Now, back to Bill.
Welcome back. We work on how people create their reality. Do they avoid what they don't want? Do they embrace what they do want? How are you creating reality today? Good morning, Steve. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, William. How you doing?
I am awesome. How are you doing?
I am awesome. A couple of months ago, I lost my job, and I was really feeling down, and I kind of took the steps that you explained. Like you said, each person is the center of their own universe. Create what you can really create it. And, I got a really good job. I was down myself, but, I turned that all around, and I just wanted to say thank you, and if the callers are out there, really take to heart what William's got to say, because it will help you, and you can create a whole new life for yourself.
Oh, Steve, I am so happy for you. I remember your call. You were really down in your teacup that day, wasn't you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I was. It was the worst thing that could happen, but like you said, it really isn't the worst thing that can happen, and everything happens for a reason, and you have to dig down and deep inside you, and for me, it was really hard because, it's like people that smoke. It's kind of a habit you can't give up. You're in a depression. You're thinking bad thoughts, and I sat down one day and I said, listen to what William's got to say, and it can't hurt. I mean, what the heck, and so I sat down and I kind of reprogrammed, not a brainwash thing, but it was just kind of reprogram my life a little bit and just take a deeper look and say, what do I want? And how can I achieve that? And, man, you helped me out so much.
I am so excited for you, my brother.
Yes.
Can you help us? Can you tell us what specific old thought that you had that was most prevalent, and what specific new thought did you change it to that was most helpful for you?
Well, I got to looking at the job loss situation, and I thought, I'm really good at what I do, it wasn't really my fault that I lost my job. It was because of the economy and the business shut down. And I really, at first I thought, yeah, I'm a failure, and I could have done things different. But then when I really realized it, I was good at what I did, and I thought, I'm gonna take that and really apply it to where it has to go, and really set that out in the universe and say, you know what, I am a good person. I know this sounds kind of nuts, but I am a good person, and I am a professional, and you just have to say to yourself, things are going to happen, and when you think that, it really helped me. I mean, it's kind of unexplainable, really, but when you think good thoughts and you're doing good and you don't get into depression, you just say, it's going to happen, it's going to be better. And,
oh, dude, I'm so happy for you. And what you're saying, Steve, is so typical of listeners and clients of mine. There's almost like this chasm there. There's this abyss I've talked about in other shows that you really need to take a leap of faith. And what the problem for most of us is, if you take a leap and then you turn around in midair and start scrambling back to the other place because you do not believe you're going to land safely, then you fall and then you crash and then you burn and you have more evidence that, no, it doesn't work for me. But for those who leap, and it doesn't sound silly to me, by the way, because the fact is, Steve, we all have self-talk. And again, if you, in the spirit of today's show, the 9 verbs that you were focused on, what you saw was a loser, a guy who failed, a guy who laid off, a guy who you just saw all the bad luck coming. You changed. Now, the world didn't change. You changed.
Right. And I think that's really important because, if people believe in whatever you believe in, a creator, a God, whatever, the universe is out there to help everybody. The universe doesn't want to see people fail. They want, it's out there for you. There's thousands of possibilities. You just have to say to yourself, I want those possibilities. And man, I got to tell people, I'm not being paid for saying this. It does work. Listen to Bill. Create a new life for yourself. It's so much better.
You are the man. I'm not worthy. If you could see me, I'm waving my hands at you because this is what juices me, to see people totally turn their life around, totally change. And Steve, at the end of the day, how hard was it to make this shift?
It was actually easy. Once I just, you think each day, and you just say it's going to get better. And if you really believe that in your heart, the universe will just come and set things up for you. It's when you get in that negative downturn, and you just have to block that out, and you have to say, that's not part of my life anymore. That's past, and that's something that was back then, and today's a new day. And I really appreciate everything that you did for me, and thank you so much.
Well, you're very kind, and you're very welcome. Thank you, Steve. Thanks for calling in and giving me an update. I really appreciate it. And maybe there's some other listeners out there that can take heart that if they leap across this chasm, if they leap their personal abyss as you did, it really is easy. I can't emphasize it enough. It's never as hard as people think. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Have a great day, Steve.
You too.
The 9 verbs, this is how you do it. You change what you think. You change what you feel. You change what you're listening to. If you're listening to the media, the second verb is here. Are you listening to the media that this is terrible and the economy is this and the dollar is that? You can hear all of that. And if you listen to those words, you do not hear a voice like mine and other voices that says, no, it is the time of opportunity. It is the time where you can rise. It is a time where your greatness can come out. But if you've spent an entire life running a program that you beat yourself up and you crap all over yourself and you say, I'm not that guy, I'm not that woman, I can't do this. As Henry Ford said, if you think you can, if you think you cannot, you're right. If you think you can, you will. You'll find it because when you command your mind in a certain sequence. And I can give you a hint, it's not the pessimistic glass half empty sequence. It's going to be the positive. That's why it's an incredible, not only metaphor, it's real. It's how you focus. It's what you feel. It's what you think. It's what you believe. And if your program is in the half empty arena, meaning, oh, I'm just waiting for my layoffs to come. Oh, I'm sure my company is in a lot of trouble and I know it's going to catch up with me. Even if you're making okay or good money, or you're thinking about your relationship and like, well, I'm dating this really great guy, or gee, the first year of our marriage, but all marriages go bad, or all marriages have problems. I mean, think about how many people record and program and promote. All marriages have problems. Well, if your word for growth is a problem, if your word for taking your marriage to another level, because when you think about it, for the couples that stay together and are happy, when they have a fight, it's not about the fight, it's about the make-up sex on the other side of it. That's what they focus on. And how they get to love each other more intensely the next morning, where the 90% that focus on that rat, that terrible woman, and then they wake up the next morning angry, guess what each couple gets? One gets make-up sex and incredible love, and one gets more anger. It's a strategy. It's not a given. As Steve did a couple of months ago, very specifically, because there are specific lines of strategy that I can give you right now. That is Steve, and thank God, I'm so happy for him, because I remember Steve, and for my regular listeners, you'll remember Steve when he was in a terrible place a couple of months ago. It's not hard to change this. The psychology of success is a very thin line from the psychology of failure. Which are you going to choose? Create an inevitable, amazing life for yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Inevitable Podcast. Please visit our website for more information on this extraordinary coaching system at www.theinevitableyou.com. Then, sign up for your 2-week free trial of our membership to gain access to hundreds of hours of amazing content and tools just like this.